Yo, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? BallHawk here, man. Good morning to everybody. Another morning stream on your way to work. What's good with y'all, man? Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell. We're going to keep plugging away. Keep rebuilding the channel. So, yo, man, I wanted to talk about Antonio Brown. Sent out the tweet yesterday thanking Steeler Nation for 9 years. It's time for new things. And it is what it is, man. Basically, AB been listening to the Steeler brass, and there was no way that they can reconcile, or, when the owner said he couldn't see AB being on the team. So why is everybody surprised now that AB is basically calling their bluff and saying, all right, it's time to move on. Appreciate you. It's not about who's to blame. The reality is it's just not working anymore. And you hate to see a talent like Antonio Brown not remain on one team, but it's rarely that we see players stay with one team. People are expecting his decline now because it helps with their narrative. If Antonio Brown goes somewhere else and still produces over 100 catches, over 1,000 yards, over 10 touchdowns, people going to find another way to try to justify why it was good for the Steelers to let him go. And you could point the finger at everybody. Everybody's to blame. The Steelers organization, Tomlin, Antonio Brown, like everybody has to be held accountable for a divorce. And this dude is the best receiver in the land. And it sucks that they just can't get along, yo. They just can't get along. Like, AB is phenomenal talent. Nick Wright made a reference to a quote from Tomlin saying that as long as you produce on the field, they can pretty much coexist with you being a troublemaker or something to that point. Basically, we all work in a workplace to where somebody who's a high producer or one of the best in their field, you're going to make exceptions for them. You're going to look the other way with certain things because you know what they bring to the table. And with Antonio Brown, he's still producing, but they feel like they have a replacement in Juju. Everybody allow you to do and act a certain way, and do certain things and act in a certain way, and you can produce, and nothing can change unless they feel like they can find somebody that can give them similar production but with less headache. And I don't like to call receivers divas. I don't like to call anybody a diva because the word diva is a code word for, excuse me, YouTube, but diva is a code word for calling somebody a bitch. Because that's essentially what a diva is. Basically, you say somebody bitch all the time. So that's what they saying about Antonio Brown. And, it's like getting into a relationship. If you out there in the club and you see a shorty fly and she got a fine body, you ain't thinking about her attitude. You think about getting them skins. You know what I'm saying? And while you dating them, they're a headache, but you think about them skins. You think about the perception of you got this bad female, or if you are, a bad male, whatever floats your boat, but that person is bringing interest and eyes to you, and that's why you stay in a relationship. So you can't expect people to be surprised when you finally realize they crazy. So in other words, man, if Antonio Brown been acting like this for years, that they've been saying, showing up for meetings late, missing meetings, not staying in the dorms. You can't use that information now to justify you letting them go. You've been tolerating it for years. Like, I'm not going to give you cool points for divorcing him now. Like, we're just going to say, hi, okay, cool. You divorcing him now. But we all know in sports, it all comes down to wins and losses. It reared its ugly head this year. They didn't go to the playoffs. Le'Veon Bell weren't there. The Steelers probably the only organization that no matter who's on the team, who's in the lineup, they always competitive and they always maintaining a certain level of excellence. That's the one thing I can't say about the Steelers. So as much as I love Antonio Brown, They're going to continue to roll. I'm not saying they're going to be better without him in a sense of, the fear they put in people's hearts. But it's just like when Le'Veon was out. Connor did a good job. That's just what the Steelers do, Now, they ain't going to say that about Big Ben, though. They'll never say that about quarterbacks. That's never the narrative. Nobody will never let you just get away with, letting a top flight quarterback lead because that don't fit the narrative. That don't fit the machine. Even though Big Ben is a sucker and he sucked as a leader, he's still a quarterback and he's protected by the league. I just think I think Mike Tomlin probably going to have a sense of fresh air with, Le'Veon gone and with Antonio gone, because he could kind of take hold of that locker room again. And Mike is a player's coach. So to me, I'm kind of pissed off a little bit at Antonio and Le'Veon, because it's like, bro, you got a coach that's actually cool and you don't know how to manage yourself. Like, that got me jive hot that they took it the extra mile. Like, that's a coach right there. You should actually calm down and do what you're supposed to do in front of the public eye, because you would want to do like him to be successful and to win in the end. But it just is what it is, man. Just came in. What do you think it would end up? Saw that Thomas out of Houston as well. Yeah, B-Cops. Houston, y'all dead ass wrong for cutting that man and he's still injured. See, I'm glad you brought that up. This is where I don't fault a dude like Antonio Brown or dude like Le'Veon Bell trying to dictate what they can do with their career or voicing their opinion about organizations, because that's the other end of the spectrum. Teams will cut a player while they still hurt. We'll just get rid of them. But when the player like Antonio just said, it's been cool, Pittsburgh, I don't want to reconcile, everybody got an issue with that. So that's the other end of the spectrum. I like to give y'all both ends of the spectrum, man. Where I think Antonio Brown will end up, I have no idea. He's still under contract. They got to trade him. I can see Pittsburgh trying to make sure he go to a bottom seller. They're going to probably make sure he's not in the AFC, so I can see him going to the NFC. I would love to see him go down there in San Francisco. See what we do with Kyle Shanahan and see if Garoppolo is really legit. You feel what I'm saying? But Demaryius Thomas, man, I want to see where he going to end up. I still think he got a lot in the tank. But it's just crazy, bro. It's just crazy, the perception, man. Like, anytime an athlete speak up or speak out against the organization, it's almost like somebody dying by the hands of the police. They start looking at their character and try to use their character to justify, an act that was just wrong. You shouldn't do that. Maybe that's a bad analogy, but y'all know what I'm saying. These false narratives got to stop. But salute to Antonio Brown, man. My son's favorite player. I think he's the best receiver in the game. Like I said, no ill will with his decision to want to be traded and want to sever that relationship, because it's very toxic. I think he's doing Mike Tomlin a favor. I think he's doing Big Ben Roethlisberger a favor. He's doing himself a favor, self-preservation. It's just not working. It's not going to do his career any good to try to, tough it out in Pittsburgh, because he's been labeled a bitch in Pittsburgh. They call him a diva. Diva is code word for bitch. So, dog, if they calling you a bitch, you got to leave. Simple as that. You got to. Revamp your image, man. Don't let them TO you, fam. Don't let them TO you. Because as soon as you have one season where you don't get 100 catches or 1,000 yards, they're going to get rid of you, bro. So, be easy, man. Ball Hawk. Make sure you subscribe. I'm out.